Hey everyone, my name is Cole. We have a bit of a different format today. I want to do kind of a run and gun review of Alien Romulus, which I just got last night, got out of the theater of seeing. I have a few notes. This will be a mostly spoiler free review. I will let you know when I go into spoilers, but for now, it will be spoiler free. So, my initial notes that don't go too much in depth is Fede fucking saved us, guys. Genuinely, after 37 years, we finally got a good Alien movie, and my hands were hurting after applauding. I actually started the applaud in the theater. I was super excited, and people were like shouting, and it was just a great moment after 37 years. Like, we've had 4 bad Alien films, 2 bad AVP films. The Xenomorphs have not gotten their justice, and last night they did. Last night they did. I was cheering in all once the credits rolled. I literally had tears in my eyes by the end because this is the franchise that inspired Metroid, that inspired Halo. We just finally got a good fucking movie out of it, and I'm just so thankful for Fede Alvarez, who brought such a unique and fresh perspective and direction to the franchise. This was honestly a film that was made for diehard fans like myself, and also introduces new fans to a new and shiny era. Um, the themes were so enriched by what he introduced, very Blade Runner-esque, which I'll get into more later. The world building and the lore were so goddamn juicy. It made me in the theater sit there and realize, oh wow, we really haven't spent that much time with this world. Being with it for over almost 4 decades now, we don't know much about it other than mainly just Alien and Aliens, because all the other films are genuinely really bad. So it was just really engaging to watch how people act, how the Weyland Yutani Corporation has domain over everything, kind of like, I don't know, big corporations we deal with now. There were just so many great decisions that I just couldn't breathe for most of the film. I loved the refinement of how the facehuggers and xenomorphs work. It was probably my favorite score as well of all the Alien films. It was very effective and prominent. And I really loved the cinematography as well, which was from the cinematographer who worked on Gretel and Hansel by director Osgood Perkins, who recently did Longlegs. And you could tell it was very suspenseful. It was stunning. That was probably the best part of the Prometheus and Alien Covenant era, where that really Scott really cooked with the set design, the world design, and the cinematography, color grading, you name it. But of course, those films weren't that great narratively and thematically. So, and I would say the star of the show was the character of Andy, which when you watch the film, you will find out more. He's probably like in my top 5 of the franchise, probably one I'm going to add even higher soon. Because I will actually be going to revisit the film later today in IMAX, so if you can't tell, I fucking loved it. The themes that revolved around his character were very Blade Runner-esque, which Blade Runner 2049 is my favorite movie. And it was just beautiful and pulled right from Blade Runner. Just a stellar directorial from Fede Alvarez, who really came into his element. And I want to address some of the criticism in a non-spoiler way about Alien Romulus right now. I feel like the reviews are very misguided. Wow, it is so loud out here. I probably could have picked a better location, so hopefully it sounds all right. A lot of people are bashing this movie for fan service, and there's a difference between fan service and paying homage to a franchise that hasn't been good since the late 80s. We've had 4 bad Alien films: Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, Prometheus, along with Alien Covenant. Of course, Prometheus and Covenant are liked by some people. Personally, I'm not one of those, so for me, it's been 4. Along with 2 AVP films, Alien vs. Predator and Alien vs. Predator Requiem, which are basically unspoken about. I gaslight myself into believing those are not fucking real. It is alright to service fans who have admittedly been pissed for 40 years. It's not like a Marvel movie where you're like, oh, look, he did that. They're paying fan service. Oh, we've been asking for this. No, this is saying, fans, we're sorry. Here's a good Alien film. Here's one of the greatest and most historic franchises of all time. It's not bad. And all the fan service, like mainly like dialogue that is used, is it's revolving around the characters that say it. So it's not like forced or anything. It fits the characters, and they tailor it towards this modern generation, and it's great. So I'm a fan. Service me. I had no issue with it because it is a objective fact that these last 4 Alien films have not been critically successful or even well received. So paying fan service to a franchise that hasn't been good for almost 40 years. Shut up, guys! Like, come on, grow up. But yeah, guys, I think Alien Romulus is a masterpiece. I love it. There are so many rich and juicy moments. I loved all the characters, all the actors. The main 2 characters that shined were Rain and, of course, Andy, that I previously mentioned. And yeah, I think this is Fede Alvarez's magnum opus, which, by the way, I did drop a history of Fede Alvarez video, I think almost 10 days ago, probably when I'll drop this, going over his filmography and how he got Alien Romulus, and, of course, talking about that film prior. So make sure to go check that out. But yeah, I fell in love with this film. I was just blown away. The practical effects were so impressive. CGI was like how Lord of the Rings handled it, where they had practical effects, but they glossed some CGI over it, and that's how you should do it, because it makes things look incredible. There was great expansions of the lore, which I felt like all the past 4 Alien films failed to do, or they did it so far to where it's like, all right, you're asking too many questions, and I'm leaving with more questions than I came in with. So yeah, it was an incredible film. I would like to get into spoilers now. So if you have not seen the film, maybe click off. If you have seen it, stay to view, because I will be addressing a lot of criticisms that are going on about Alien Romulus, and I'll be talking about a few more things in depth. But I'm really just ranting here. I have my notes here with me, so I don't miss any key points. But so for the first act of the film, it did so much world building, which, like I mentioned, I felt like we really haven't spent that much time with this world. We don't know really how the universe handles anything. We just know about like Weyland-Yutani, and of course like what Ripley went through of the Colonial Marines. But this did more for the world building than almost any other film did prior. The workers of I loved how it went into how the Weyland-Yutani workers are treated by their corporation, how androids are treated differently, kind of like Blade Runner, and simply just the characterization of the world. I thought it was so goddamn unique. I loved it. There were so many themes that went in depth, and it was just so unique and stunning to watch. So this is the biggest criticism, not even biggest criticism, I think it's just some people who don't understand Alien and or Blade Runner, and they just get really butthurt very easily and really offended. But this is spoilers. If you're here, I'm just saying. So we have the return of, at least physically, of Ash, which I can't remember in the film. It escapes me. I'm pretty sure they called him something different. I think it started with an R. I can't remember, because I went on Letterboxd and it didn't update the name. Because I'm 100% sure they didn't say Ash. But some people are bothered by the introduction of that character, physically, because they're saying it brought a character back from the dead. And I understand the criticism. I do understand it. But I think if people need to take off their nostalgia glasses a bit and actually look at the context of how it is used. He was brought back by an evil corporation that manufactures and replicates the physical presence of this character onto dozens and dozens of copies of him. This isn't a good thing, and I think the film obviously points it out that way, where it's isn't this kind of tragic that this character that you have loved for 40 years is in front of you, and that they're trying to replicate this, and it's because it's an android, and they even mentioned different models in the film, as a hint, this isn't that character of Ash, this isn't disrespectful, at least in my opinion. And a lot of people were calling it fan service, which, guys, are you just dumb? Come on. What, you think alien films like myself were going in and saying, oh, I hope we get Hicks or Hudson CGI. I would love to see them. No. Yeah, it was weird. It's weird that people are really criticizing that, which, I understand it, but the better example that they could have used is The Flash, where that was pure fan service. Having Christopher Reeve and all these different characters that were CGI and dead actors, and they did nothing. It was just for CGI and fan service. There's a huge difference between that and a character that is essential to the plot and not the character that we followed previously, but more of just commentary on the replication of it and manufacturing. It says a lot more about the world in Weyland-Yutani than it does about the people who worked on the project. That's my take. If you disagree, that's all right. It's all right to have different opinions. I saw another extremely dumb comment about it where someone said they should have just used Lance and have the synthetic be the one of the first prototypes, which people just don't pay attention to the story. Aliens dropped 50, it takes place 57 years after Alien. These are different prototypes. They could not have used Lance in that. And of course they could have written into the story, but you're now asking them to change a huge aspect of the film, which is really not a big deal. It's really not. So, and this kind of leads to when that character is introduced, there was a weird exposition dump. I'm not sure if you want to call it dump, or just mainly explaining like, oh, this facehugger is planting an egg in this character that got killed, or got, I guess, it latched onto. And at first I was like, this is weird. I'm not sure how I feel about that. And then a few minutes later, I'm like, oh, I get why they do this. We, as Alien fans, we all know what's happening to that person that has a facehugger attached to them. We know what's going on. So I think the director, Fede Alvarez, and the writers were like, yeah, we're not going to waste their time again. They know, they're smart enough to know what's going on, so we're going to explain it a little bit so we're not having to use more screen time to go over this again and again and again. It was very smart. I liked that they treated the audience with respect, like, guys, you've seen this before. We're going to do something different with our screen time. So, really cool. I liked that. There were just a lot of creative moments in the film. There was a rifle that was said to have auto aim on it, so like it will automatically kind of like bump its way if it sees a target on its scope, and I really liked that. I'm not sure if people will think of it in a weird way because I haven't seen much talk about it, but it makes sense, a lot of sense in the context of the story, because my wife pointed out that it was pretty good to help balance the scales a bit with Rain versus the other xenomorphs, because people would have been, oh, how come Rain she's just this badass who has perfect aim, can take out these dozens of xenomorphs. And the auto aim kind of it truly does balance the scales a bit and makes it more sense, as where like the Colonial Marines, of course, in Aliens got absolutely obliterated, but of course the context of that entire situation is way different because they went ill prepared, got their ammo taken away, and it was a shit show. They were surrounded, where of course the xenomorphs in Romulus were coming down one narrow hallway. But I liked the use of the auto aim. I thought that was very smart and creative, and it makes sense like technology wise, like when it sees itself like auto detects with the AI that's in it, it like kind of bumps around, so I thought that was pretty great. And I guess my other main like nitpick, because I didn't think this movie is perfect, but of course I think there's some things that I could just like be like, I don't really care, this movie's great. There were a few moments I felt like there was a bit of plot armor, and my buddy did say, the rule of cool. So when Rain in the third act fell down the elevator shaft and a xenomorph caught her, I didn't really like that it set her on like the ladder. I know, rule of cool, but I don't know, I felt like that was a bit weird. And then there was a moment where Tyler answered a call from his sister who crash landed when they were walking through this hallway of facehuggers, which in context, I guess you can say, oh, like, it's his sister, like, he didn't know she was alive, like, I get the character's motivation to possibly do it, but I still think, like, bro, you are literally surrounded by half a dozen facehuggers, like, lock in, damn it. Damn, the sun is fucking bright, I'm so sorry. Hopefully this looks okay. I'm gonna try and color grade the best I can, but fuck. And, yeah, so that was, like, some of the plot armor was a bit weird to me. It wasn't bad. I don't give a shit. And then, that's basically all my notes, so I'm going to start ranting here. Well, actually, I have one more note, but Rain, man. Rain, Andy, and a lot of the themes they pulled from Blade Runner. I fucking loved that. Andy is now one of my favorite characters of the franchise because I thought it was so unique how they handled his relationship with Rain, as her father programmed him with all these dad jokes to remind her of him, and how she almost sees her father in the character of Andy, but also sees him as a brother, and most importantly sees him as a human, because that was asked a few times, like, oh, he's just a synthetic, he's just going to be booted off. And it definitely asks us questions, not just from the audience, but from the character of Rain. Is Andy a person to her? And in the third act, that question is silently answered when she decides to go back because she sees Andy laying there, down there, like twacking out, so he got hit. And I just love that she went back for Andy, even if he may not be technically a person to her. He is a person. He is important to her. He has feelings. He has a heart. But yeah, I just loved that aspect. I thought it was genius. It hit me in the heartstrings a little bit because I just love that Blade Runner is a very important franchise to me. So a lot of the questions of humanity, what makes a human, what makes someone alive and breathing, and if they've lost their humanity, I just thought that was so well done, well refined, and it's something I'm going to appreciate when I see it again in IMAX. But overall, like I said, guys, I believe Alien Romulus is a goddamn masterpiece. Oh wait, hold on. I just forgot about the fourth act. I don't know. I need to talk about that because everyone will. The human engineer baby, or I think it was called the Offspring, as it was in the credits. Yeah, that was so scary. It reminded me of the Wendigos from Until Dawn. If you've ever played that game, absolutely terrifying. Genius. I loved it. I did like the small nod to the Prometheus lore, but it didn't go so far like Prometheus and Covenant did, where it's like, hey guys, remember this? It was like, yep, you guys remember this? Okay, cool, let's get away from it because you all fucking hated it. I like that they still introduced it because there is a lot of potential to explore that. And man, the Offspring was so goddamn scary. Like, it got me on edge. Really well done. My one buddy did say that he wishes it had more screen time, which it's a fourth act, you know, it's like in a slasher film. So it didn't bother me too much because this is actually what I was wanting to mention more of, is give Fede Alvarez a fucking trilogy, or at least a sequel to this. I think that what they set up here was incredibly complex and compelling, and there was the canister that had that, I know the bioweapon, I forgot, like, it's the engineer's, like, Black Plague. My buddy kept telling me it last night, I keep forgetting the name because I try and gaslight myself to forget about Prometheus and Covenant, but it was still on the ship. So wherever Rain and Andy land up, whoever finds them, if they actually make it to the planet that they were trying to cryosleep towards, they're going to find that. So I would hope that there's a exploration of that, and that is led by Fede Alvarez as a director. I think it would be really cool to have a modern trilogy, because we really don't have an official trilogy, because Alien 3 is, we all pretend that doesn't exist, because it's fucking awful. So I would really like if they had a sequel to this. And if it's not Fede Alvarez that makes it, give me maybe a director I think would be really cool. I just don't know if he can handle the horror aspect. But at the same time, James Cameron's Aliens wasn't that much of a horror, it was more action. Is Gareth Edwards. And I talk about him a lot on this channel, but I think his direction of scale and stakes and drama would be really good for a more action-oriented alien film like Aliens. So if Fede does not return, which I pray to fucking God he does, for a sequel or even better, a trilogy, because I think that this could be a big moment in the story. Yeah, give me Gareth Edwards if Fede isn't going to do it, but I think Fede should because he's a god. He is like one of the best directors right now. Absolutely original. Love the takes. Alien Romulus, guys, is a masterpiece. Is a solid 4.5 out of 5 for me. I think it takes the best blends and aspects of Alien and Aliens and piles them into one film, but also takes its time to introduce new things and to create its own personality. It's really a damn near perfect film in my eyes, and once again, I'm about to go see it in about 5 hours in IMAX this time, and then probably a third time later this weekend. I really loved it. Maybe I'll bump it up to a 5 after this because I'll notice some things, or be like, I really don't care because I think this film is great, and we haven't had a good Alien film in 37 years. But yeah, it was a really great time, guys. I loved it. I hope you guys do too. Make sure to like and subscribe because this is going to be a very different video for me, so hopefully it does well. And hopefully all this actually filmed because this is 20 minutes of my goddamn life. So I hope you guys have a great day. Go experience Alien Romulus because it is so goddamn good. Ignore the critics. Think for yourself. Make sure there's no one behind me. Because a lot of the commentary and critiques of this film, I think, are pretty misguided. So go give it a shot. Create your own opinion. Let me know what you think. If you didn't like it, that's all right. If you loved it, even better. So, hope you guys have a great day. Peace.